What is up, my children, my babies, my lovelies? Oh my goodness, y'all, I am back again with another episode, and I am so excited because, again, I have another special guest. Can y'all believe that this is like the third episode that I've had a special guest with? We're bringing new things for the New Year's, okay? But anyway, I have a special guest today, and her name is Cher. Cher, can you tell us a little bit about you? Like, what do you do? Why are you here? Let's get into it.
Okay, hey y'all, thanks for the introduction.
Yes.
So I'm Cher, and I am in the investment banking industry. I'm not going to disclose the name of my company, but minus that, the reason that I am doing this is because one of my goals this year was to be on a podcast, and we went to college together, and I've seen you flourish and all your success, and essentially it's just like I want us to support. So let's get into it.
Yes, and I'm excited to talk about the topic today because we're going to be talking about new beginnings. And I feel like me and Cher have a lot in common when it just comes with, again, like she said, we went to school together. We did a lot of things together. And then also, too, getting big girl jobs straight out of college. I mean, it's just so much to talk about, but not even just to talk about the job range, but just everything that comes with out of college life, because as we know, it's a lot that happens when you get out of school.
Oh my goodness, it's too stressful to say the least.
It's so stressful. Okay, so you told us a little bit about what you do, and we both graduated around the same time. You graduated in May too, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so first of all, how do you feel like life has been since you graduated? I mean, you got this big girl job, you moved to Dallas, because we both also moved as well.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Honestly, life is winning right now. Life is lifing. Essentially, we moved about the same time.
Yeah.
I moved in July to Dallas, Texas from Atlanta, Georgia. And as y'all know, Atlanta is like the Black Hollywood, it's the Black Mecca. So transitioning into a space where it's just like, Black people are the majority in the city, and then transitioning to a city where it's like you're no longer the majority.
Yeah.
And in Dallas, Texas, that was quite an adjustment. And so still getting acclimated to that, but for the most part, I felt like this gave me room to grow and to find out who I really was. So right now, I feel like I'm just kind of flourishing right now, like being able to like have my own money, have my own space, being able to travel, doing everything that I ever dreamed of. Like it's all I ever wanted,
Yeah, and I feel like that's what I love. And I think you just said one key thing too. First of all, it's just like coming from Atlanta, being around like the Black Mecca, aka the Black Hollywood, and then coming into somewhere where like you're the only Black person in the room. I was telling Cher the other day, I was shocked when she told me it wasn't a lot of Black people in Dallas. I was shocked.
Yeah, so as we were talking about earlier with Kansas City, I just feel like all the Black people in Dallas are spread out. So they're not like all like in downtown Dallas. It's like they're in Louisville, they're in Carrollton, they're in Frisco, they're in Plano, and frankly, Texas is huge. So everything is just kind of spread out. So with that being said, gas is a little pricey right now. So I ain't trying to drive all the way out there. But for the most part, it's like when there is a party, when there is a function, it's like you are going to see every Black person in Dallas probably at that one function. So it's just like, it's not like Atlanta where you're meeting like new people anytime you go out. It's like you see the same people at the same places.
And Black people, when it's in a small town, they're going to stick together. So you're literally, everyone probably knows everybody, I feel like.
Yeah, for the most part. It's just like my friend groups and my other friend group. I was just like, ooh.
And see, I think one big thing that a lot of people don't talk about when you get out of college is the fact that what you just said, you're learning yourself, you're by yourself so much to the point where like you feel like you're missing out on a lot of things. But the biggest thing I feel like in this new transition is just like being isolated and really taking some time to self-care. I feel like that's been the most scariest part for me getting out of school, because it's like I'm in a whole new world. I'm in a place that like I never would imagine. Like if you would have told me years ago that I would have been moving to Kansas, I would have been like, So it's just so weird to like move somewhere that is so foreign to you and then basically try to build a life out of that. Do you feel like it's been a struggle doing that in Dallas?
Actually, it wasn't a struggle just due to the fact that I knew people prior, because a lot of companies are starting to move out to Dallas, Texas. So luckily I did know people and they introduced me to their friends, and now I have a network there. So it wasn't as difficult. Like literally my first day there, I was already invited to functions. So I already knew.
Wait, so who did you know before you moved there?
I knew quite a few people from Georgia State University, and not only that, and then Kennesaw as well, and then like all the other like surrounding schools. So I knew people from there, and it It was cool. Like, I grew my network, but then at the same time, it's like I still didn't want to let go of my network in Atlanta. Yeah. And as you mentioned earlier, fear of missing out. I went through that a lot. And let's talk about it. It's very depressing. Graduating, it's just very depressing. Life after college is very depressing. So I just feel like that's not spoken about too much, but I see it a lot. And even when we were talking about homecoming last night, like, and I know you didn't attend, like, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel so sad, girl. Like, first of all, like you just said, we don't talk about the depressive state afterwards. I think because people probably look at me and Cher's life. They see the outside. They see, you know, us having this job. They see us doing this, that, and the third. Oh, bless you, girl. Bless you. I saw you holding it in, too. I was like, she looks like she has to sneeze.
I don't sneeze during this podcast.
It looked like you either had to sneeze or cry. I was like.
No, I'm not about to cry. I want to cry because, no, honestly, oh, my gosh.
Because right now, I'm talking about this, I'm probably going to cry. But no, it's just like, leaving school, being away from people, being away from family, from friends, from everything. Yes, you might, from the outside looking in, everyone sees you with this job and they see you with these new things and you have a little bit more money than you had when you were in college. But no one ever talks about the depression that you go through. And honestly, I'm going to just keep it real with y'all because y'all know I keep it real on this podcast. I feel like I've hit the beginning stage of depression a little bit because it's like I'm by myself all the time and I'm learning myself, but learning yourself can be really scary too. And then isolating yourself can be scary as well, but also too feeling like you're just left out of everything. Like not going to homecoming made me feel so bad because I was like, dang, like, do I really want this job right now? I could be out in the streets with my friends and it's like, you know what I'm saying? I just felt alone, I feel like.
That's definitely how I felt. Even just going back for a day, it was just like seeing everyone, then like everyone telling me like, oh my God, you made it out of Atlanta. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. Like, I see you just living the soft girl era. Like, I see you doing all this, but it's like, y'all don't know what goes on behind the scenes. It's just like to pack up again and leave Atlanta. It was just so hard because just like I'm leaving all the friends that I've known for like the last 4+ years. And now I'm going back to a city where it's just like I spend most of my time at work. My coworkers are now my family. Yes. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I don't have a life. And then on the weekends, like I'm spreading myself thin, trying to mend these friendships, trying to be a great friend and create a network outside of work. But then it's just like, it just gets too hard. And then it's just like, I'm lethargic. And it's just so much that goes into it. Like, yes, we have our big girl jobs. We make big girl money. But between gas, utilities, bills, rent, I'm like, well, dang, most of the first check is gone. Right, and you didn't even say the rest. Groceries. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, too.
Groceries, and then little stuff that comes out of nowhere. You got to get the toilet paper. You got to get the household items. Yeah. I mean, it's just so many things that you have to get. I think it just spreads you thin, especially when, like, yeah, we're in our big girl job and we're making a little bit more money, but it's not like we're making, like, thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, we're starting from the beginning.
It makes me wish I would have got that PPP loan.
Girl, period. No, for real. But the people with those loans are getting locked up as we speak.
Yeah, I know, but still, it's just like, take me back to 2020 because...
Honestly, when they were getting like checks just cut for no reason, I would love that right now because it's just struggles with it. And I feel like even if I would have went back to homecoming for a little bit and like hanged out with my friends, I still would have been sad coming back home because I come from all of that to being alone again. I felt like that in Christmas break, too, because I went to go visit my family and my friends and stuff like that. And I was feeling bad. I had a great time in Atlanta, but then coming back to my hometown, like you said, again, I'm just going to work and going home. So it's a lot of things that people don't talk about when you are starting from that big girl job or your soft girl era. It's a lot of things.
Yeah, and it's just that I know that's really trending right now as far as like the soft girl era, but people don't talk about how costly it can be to do that maintenance on yourself. And people don't know exactly what it means to be in that soft girl era either. It's just like, it's more than just, I'm not going to say putting on that facade and just doing like maintenance things, but it's all about like how you carry yourself and how you view yourself. I feel like that's the most imperative thing. But it's more than just like going out and buying luxury items. You don't need to buy luxury items to be in your soft girl era. And I feel like people kind of misconstrued that. Yeah. And so with that being said, like even just pouring back, even just investing into yourself. Yeah. That's a lot right there. And I feel like people kind of leave out that concept when it comes to like being that soft girl era, but don't just try to adapt that lifestyle just to kind of keep up with the Joneses. Like if it's not you, then don't do it. Like, you don't have to do that. So yeah, there's just a whole lot of things when it comes to like trying to learn about yourself and like what you really want to do, what you really want to accomplish, and not try to follow friends because sometimes you can get consumed in that. Right. And it becomes very toxic.
You don't need to be out here just trying to keep up with the Joneses just because you see our lives or anybody else's lives outside of that does not mean that you need to keep up with what we're doing. Because like we just said again, there's pros and cons to this type of lifestyle. And again, you're going to deal with depression. You're going to deal with these, being alone, self-care, and trying to find yourself and all that stuff like that in these type of situations. So you really have to be smart about things and do things for you. I think is the biggest thing.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times we always forget that we may not necessarily need these things. We may want these things. And I was talking to you about this yesterday as far as like moving out of Atlanta. Atlanta was very toxic. Like we were all trying to keep up with each other. Y'all over here like having all these like name brand designer apparel, but then it's just like y'all don't have y'all's own apartments. Y'all are living on y'all's friends' couches. Like y'all are prioritizing the wrong things. And so obviously like we see certain things on social media and we believe this is true, but you can't always believe what's on social media. So it's just like moving out of that environment. I feel like that was probably the healthiest thing ever for us. Personally.
You're 100% right, because Atlanta is just like that. Like you just said, I used to know people that slept in their car, but you got this nice car though. You keeping up with these type of name brands, but you don't have a house.
Exactly.
You don't even have food. You don't even know where your next meal is coming from. But on the outside looking in, you got the latest pair of shoes. You're doing this, that, and the third. It's just so crazy how people's way of thinking is when it comes in Atlanta. And when you move outside of Atlanta, you start to realize that there's other people who have actual money that don't walk around like that. That's like the funny part.
Exactly, because in Dallas, they don't be getting dressed up like that. And I just felt so overdressed going to certain events because I'm just like, I'm so used to being dressed up. Like, we used to get dressed up for class, like at Georgia State. Like, people would be stepping out.
I was telling people that. I'm like, people stepped all the time.
Yes, for class. Even when it was raining out. Oh, my gosh, yes. It was like a fashion show. And I appreciated that. Like, going to uniform school my whole life, I appreciated just having that freedom to express myself, wearing my own clothes. But in Dallas, they don't be doing that. They don't be getting dressed up. And it's just like, I'm like, okay.
What I do want to get into, so with, us moving out of school and all these things like that and being in our independent realm, I guess you could say. Right now on my podcast, we've been talking a lot about dating. So I do want to know how your experiences have been with dating, because I feel like when we are on this independent journey, a lot of times that can intimidate some men, or it can like mess with dating a little bit. How do you feel like your experiences have been?
So I'm just speaking on the advice that was given to me and having a lot of guy friends, just hearing their input. Frankly, I do think men are intimidated by successful women. The wrong men. Let me emphasize that. I'm not saying all men, because I know y'all be getting a little tight with that.
Right.
I'm going to say the wrong men get intimidated by successful women. And so with that being said, I thought me working at the company that I work at, I was like, ooh, like men are going to be so impressed. Like I'm going to be pulling all these men. Girl. No, they do not like that. They don't like that I'm on the same level as them and possibly surpass them, because like my company is just kind of like where everyone kind of aspires to be at. And so it's just like, I feel like personally, as far as the dating scene in Dallas, I've been on a lot of dates. I dated a lot of people, but they haven't really been successful. It's just like, for me, nothing was really clicking.
Right.
It's just, I feel like I'm very limited in Dallas as far as like who I consider successful, and just like me going out with them. It's just like our personalities didn't really align together. But in Atlanta, you had a variety of different people, like, because you had, like, for me personally, like, I kind of stick to, a certain demographic. And so, with that being said, you had a plethora of like people in Atlanta to choose from. In Dallas, I just feel like we're very slim. Right. So with that being said, been on a lot of dates, currently dating someone right now, and I feel like it's very successful. So, yes, so we'll see.
Clap. How does he feel about your lifestyle? Do you get any intimidating vibes? Like, how do you feel?
Actually, no. So for me personally, I know most women feel this way, but personally, I have to date a man who is secure with himself and where I work at. And I also have to date a man who makes more money than me. I don't know if you feel the same way,
Let's
but
talk about that.
I feel like that's really important for me, just because I don't want to be making more money than you. I don't know. But we got to be in the same tax bracket, So with that being said, I don't think he's really intimidated with my lifestyle. Now, what do you mean by that? As far as like where I work and like what I do?
That's what I was just about to say. Where you work, Exactly. Where you eat, where you go, where you shop. Because
a
lot of times
we match the same energy.
Good.
We definitely like had this conversation, especially with his upbringing. I feel like we definitely like we match as far as our upbringings, our aspirations, our values, our morals. So yes, this one might be a winner. So
oh my God, I love that. Good.
But another thing as well, I remember me and my friend were going out one time. This was probably a few months ago. And they're like, oh, yeah, let's go find, like, you know, high-value men in, like, Highland Park, which is in Dallas.
Okay.
And they're like, but we have to lie about our occupations. And I was just like, why do I have to lie about, like, where we work? And she was just like, because they don't like that. Like, those men, like, they want, like, the yoga instructors, like, the teachers. Crazy. And there's nothing wrong with those occupations, but they don't want to hear where we work at or that we're engineers or that we work in investment banking or asset management or whatever. And so it's just like, I don't know. I really did feel a type of way about that because just like I'm lying about what I do in my success. And that just really didn't sit well with me, but that also showed me the reality of how things are.
Exactly. And I just feel like that's so sad because one thing about me, I'm not about to dumb down everything that I worked hard for. I feel like, again, like we just mentioned, we're both college graduates and we worked hard to be where we are. And I'm not about to dumb down what I do for a man just to make you feel comfortable within yourself. Like, that's not what I'm going to do.
That's what I'm saying. The right man will appreciate all of our success. And everyone has to realize that, and also you have to be patient and then stop looking. That's the advice I have to give.
You said that key, and I was like, she's so right about that.
It's like stop looking. Like, okay, personally, like I stopped giving a. That's one thing.
Right.
I just stopped caring because once I stopped looking, and this applies to everything in my life. Once I stopped putting emphasis on certain things, like, oh my God, I need to accomplish this by this year. Once I stopped doing that, everything just started to fall into place. Because if you put too much emphasis on certain things, you let it live in your head rent free. It just won't happen. And that comes the same thing with finding a significant other. If you just stop caring, he will eventually come along. And I promise you, like, for me in Dallas, I was just mainly focused on, like, finding friends, finding lifelong friends.
Okay.
And one of those friends, they're the ones that put me on to this person. I was not looking. I didn't have any hopes with it. And that's when everything just kind of fell into place. But at the same time, with this person, too, I don't rearrange my life for them either. I don't cancel any of my plans. And I don't let it affect my peace. And guess what? If something no longer serves your purpose, then leave it. Yes. So honestly, just don't let things affect your peace or change your lifestyle.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, Lori Harvey is my spiritual animal. Like, but here's the thing though. Like with her, it's like you don't hear anything about her business. Like, yes, we think we know, but we don't know everything. And it's just like we're hearing about it through third-party people, not her or the other person involved. And for me, it's just like, look at how she like carries herself. It's just like she protects her peace at all times, and her lineup is amazing. Like, oh my God,
her lineup is amazing.
Yes, we ain't finna talk about Trey Songz though, but like her lineup her lineup is amazing outside of him. And so, with that being said, it's just like, you know, you can learn a few things from her, but for the most part, I would say like from just seeing like her on social media, like the way she carries herself, she doesn't let people know her business, and she protects her peace at all times.
All time. Yes. And I think that's the biggest thing that we need to do as women is just protect your peace, protect who you are. And again, I know I've said this a lot of times, but protect what you've worked hard for at the end of the day. I think that's a big, big, huge thing. So, okay, so I know that we were talking about, again, you know, we graduated college, but let's talk about imposter syndrome. Is it imposter or imposter? I never know. Is
imposter syndrome.
Imposter?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that because I think that's a big thing too. When you start to reach a certain point of success, or you're at least climbing to that point of success, you start to feel like, you know, do I deserve this? Or like, you know, is this something that I really want? Or like, maybe I'm feeling bad about the success that I'm getting. Have you ever felt that way in this new journey of life?
So I felt that way being at work. I felt like personally, like I didn't belong there. And I feel that's very normal. Like, you know, coming from Atlanta, more specifically coming from Clayton County, like Clayco, if y'all familiar with the lingo. But it's just coming from there, and it's just like, if you're familiar with like where I'm from, it's like you don't see too many people working in corporate America from where I'm from. And so with that being said, I kind of did face that, you know, working in corporate, and it's just like me changing up my dialect, you know, trying to sound like them. And so, and just like not talk, like avoiding certain topics just so that I could fit in. hell, I'm learning how to play golf. I don't even like golf like that.
Girl.
But it's just like, I know that's what's going to take me up the ladder. It's just like doing certain things that I wouldn't normally do. But I mean, that's what you kind of have to do, though. But I did face it, but then it's just like I found my niche of people as well at work. So it's just like I can be myself around them. But for the most part, I feel like that's very normal. It's normal to face that when you're changing environments, when you're starting off in corporate, when you're starting off in your new job. It's just like you want to be yourself, but you have that fear of being judged as well.
Yep.
But obviously, like, we're here where we're at for a reason. Like, we were picked for a reason.
And that's the thing that I feel like I've been falling into is just like, am I supposed to be where I am right now? But I've started to, as I'm getting deep into my religion and things like that, is that everything is for a reason. This move, us moving, the jobs that we have, the people that we are around, God makes no mistakes. And y'all know I'm not trying to get, religious, but I'm just saying, like, there's no mistakes that are made, and your life is written out for you and things like that. There's a lot of things that I feel like, I've been through or I've came from that when I look back at my life and where I am today, I'm like, dang, do I really deserve this? Like, I have other family who are living in this way and I'm living like this. And, I don't know how that makes me feel. I feel like I've gone through that a lot.
For me personally, it's just remember that you're here for a reason. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. And just remember, be yourself.
Yes.
And if they don't like that, then that's on them.
Who gives a fuck if they don't like it? That's the big thing. That's the big thing. But first of all, okay, so I know when you go into these new transitions in life, and as y'all know, we already started a new year too, like, you have to be able to keep yourself focused on what you want to do. And with you being a corporate baddie and, like, with me being a news anchor or whatever the case may be, what do you feel like your self-care practices are to keep you, like, on the straight path? Because I know when we were driving here, you mentioned about, you having your journal with, like, all your goals and everything.
Yes.
So how do you really stay focused? Because it's easy to lose yourself in this new journey of life, I feel like.
Oh, I stick to my schedule. For me personally, like, I stick to a schedule. Like, if I do go out after work, I make sure, like, I'm home by 10. I get the
10 is early.
Yes. I get the proper amount of sleep because I wake up at 6 to go to work, too.
Oh, okay.
So it's just, like, I make sure that I'm on a very tight schedule. And even with, like, a financial planner as well, even with journaling, writing down my goals. And also, anytime I open up my phone, my laptop, I'm going to see everything that I would like to accomplish before the end of the year. So that's how I stay focused. And then I remember, like, who I'm doing it for. Like, my mother, like, my parents always give me the motivation and tell me that they're proud of me, etc. And so with that being said, it's just like I use that because they work very hard. They pay for me to be where I'm at today.
Period.
So it's just like I have people, like, behind me, like, cheering me on. So that's, like, how I personally stay focused. And then also, another important topic, surround yourself with people who are
just about to get into that,
who are like-minded, because if you surround yourself with people who are like-minded, but also who you aspire to be like, that's how you stay on track. Like, for me, it's just like when I was going out partying a lot, like, at the very beginning, it was just like, oh my gosh, like, I felt like my schedule was just all over the place. I didn't have time for myself. Like, I just felt like I was being spread thin. But it's just like, okay, let me just only go out, like, let's just say on Friday night or Saturday night, but not both. Or I'll go out on Sunday, but it's just like I'm not going out every day of the weekend. I'm not going out every night. I'm not going to spend money on drinks and food.
Right.
I mean, I didn't do that anyway, but still, I'm just putting that out there. But, you have other people that pay for it. But just being, like, focused and just, like, having a budget, having a journal, having a plan. Having a plan is really important because a lot of the times people do not have a plan and people do not have any goals. Like, you need to have I would say goals that you want to accomplish for the end of the year, a 5-year goal, and then 10-year goals as well.
But you know what I also feel like, too, and not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but I feel like sometimes even making monthly goals is okay, too, because I feel like everyone always goes towards all right, you got to do the 5 years, but sometimes the best kind of goals that you will feel good with accomplishing is short-term goals. So, like, you know what, I'm going to make a goal for the week to knock out these 3 things, and if I knock out these 3 things, I'm going to feel good about it. And I'm going to be like, okay, maybe I could do this and keep going from there. And so I feel like another thing too is, like, set those short-term goals so that you can feel good about them. And then that'll make you want to be able to conquer the long-term goals.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever keep an agenda in college, or, like, do you still have one? Okay, cool.
Yes.
That's really imperative too. Yeah. Y'all need to start getting agendas. Bring that back.
Girl, but I love me a good agenda too, especially if it's real cute.
Yes. I do that, like, probably the last week of December. I always get one for the next year, and it helps me when it's really cute too.
Exactly.
But that's also what helps me. I guess if you want to call them daily goals, but that's just personally like how I stay focused. How do you stay focused?
Okay, so a lot of things that what you do is similar to what I do too. Biggest one is surrounding yourself around people who are like you, because I had a really bad problem with that. Just like, and it's not even intentional, but like I would just meet a lot of friends who, and this is for lack of better terms because I hate to say this, but like who are not really doing exactly what I'm doing. And we're just hanging out because you're just a good time. And that was okay to have, but it wasn't making me go anywhere. I wasn't learning anything new. I didn't feel like I was competing. I just didn't feel anything. I just felt like, okay, she's just around me for a good time. And at that point, I felt like I had to like cut certain people off, or at least rearrange certain things, make some people some acquaintances, so that I could be able to focus on like what I want to do. But for me, I don't want to be the best person in the room. I don't think anyone should ever strive to be the best person in the room. You need to be surrounded around other people that are better than you so that you can get to where they are and even above from that. And that's where I want to go. I want to be able to be around people to where it's like, I see you on your grind. I see you doing your thing. I want to do my thing too. I want to be inspired and motivated. And so I feel like that's the only way to keep me focused too, is when I'm around people who are doing what I'm doing, but way more. Way more.
That's exactly what happened to me in college. But the thing that hurt me the most was just like I kept changing friend groups every year. Or
Really?
yeah, that's the part that hurt me the most, because just like I just kept elevating myself, or it's just like my goals were just always changing, because it's just like, okay, cool, I accomplished this, like I want to do more. Like I was just so hungry in college for success. Like I was just like, how am I gonna get here? What do I need to do to get here? And it's not like I intentionally cut people off, but eventually like, we just grew apart, and that's okay. But it's just like at first it was just like, dang, like me and this person were close and now we're not. But I guess that's like a part of life, you know what I mean?
Well, okay, do you feel like you've lost anybody in this new like journey?
I lost a lot of people.
Yes.
I lost a lot of people, but what did Drake say?
But I mean like from jealousy though. Do you feel like any from or do you feel like you've caught any whim of jealousy?
Let me tell you what Drake said.
What he say?
Everyone can fit on a short bus, but not everyone can fit in a two-door Bugatti.
That's a good one. Wait, Drake said that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, he said that.
We gonna say he fact check him. You have to say
that's my man right there. We finna say that he said that, but God. No, literally, like not everyone can fit in a two-door with you, and that's just so gonna happen when you become more successful. But see, I find that very strange, because for me, I've never really been jealous of anyone.
Exactly.
And I just felt like, you know, whatever is meant for you is for you. Just keep like working at it. Maybe it's just not your time.
Right.
And something I learned at church, like I'm gonna bring religion to this because I feel this is very important. Sometimes you may want something, but are you in the right state to receive that? Like, and so I really took that. It was just like, dang, everything that I wanted, was I really prepared to receive that?
You're right.
Was I like the person that I imagined myself being when I received this like thing that I wanted? So with that being said, it's just like it may have not been that person's season to actually receive, you know, and it might have been yours.
Right.
And that's okay. Like that's just what's gonna happen when it comes to like friendships. But I never really been jealous, and it's just like I never been jealous of anyone.
But I think that's when the real blessings come in, when you're not jealous from anyone. Because for me personally, I'm such a girl's girl. Like I'm here to support anybody, especially when they're doing their big one. And I feel like even in the Black community too, you need to be sitting here supporting everyone, praising everybody for their wins. I don't think anybody should be jealous of anybody who made it out of college or made it out of wherever they're coming from, especially because you don't know everyone's background. You don't know what they've had to work hard for to get to where they got. And so I feel like being jealous of that is just wrong. And then you're too busy being jealous to the point where you're not going to accept any blessings at all.
Exactly. I would say like just keep like looking forward and moving forward, because it's just like you can't worry about like what's going on the side of you, what's going on behind you, because if you're not looking forward, you're going to crash. Literally. So yeah, I just never really had that issue, and I've always been everyone's biggest fan. Like you said, I'm a girl's girl as well, so it's just like I've always supported all my friends' businesses. Anytime they accomplish something, I always feel like the first one to comment, text them, like tell them how proud I am, because like people need to hear that. And it's so sad to think like this, but it's just like everything that I have gotten or accomplished, I kind of did that on my own without connections. And I wish I would have had like those connections. Like don't get me wrong, I do have like mentors now and back in college, but I just felt like I couldn't go to everyone about everything just due to the fact of like I had that mentality, I had that stigma like, oh my God, what if they're secretly preying on my downfall or something? Not saying they did. I love my mentors. I'm not saying that they've done that, but it's just like.
But people will secretly prey on your downfall,
exactly.
though.
So it's just like for me being extra cautious, and I didn't really want that. So it's just like most of the time, like when I was doing stuff, I wouldn't tell people. And that's another important thing. Stop telling all your business.
Let's get into that because I think that's a big thing. A lot of people tell their business and share it on social media, their next move. It's really important.
Stay silent.
Stay silent. That's when the blessings come rolling in anyway. But also, too, be strategic with your next move, okay? Because a lot of times the biggest people that be on social media sharing what they're about to do next, sometimes it falls through. And then it's embarrassing when it falls through because everybody sees that you didn't accomplish what you were talking about.
LOL, the people who be posting their vision board.
Girl.
Please don't post your vision
board.
Don't do
that.
If it's your home screen, then that's fine.
Right.
Because you're not flashing your phone everywhere. But still, like, don't go on social media posting your next move, what you want to accomplish. I would say until it's done, then share it.